Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Nest Egg Builder. Where I'm very excited today. Peggy is out. She's at a conference with my favorite team sponsor, Sanders Family Office, today. So in Texas, and I wonder how the weather is for her there, but I'm sure they're having a great time. But today we're going to have Shani Franklin from PadSplit to explain a little bit about how they work. It's a shared housing concept that originated in Atlanta, Georgia, and she will tell you a little bit more. It's very exciting what they have. So take it away, Shani.
Awesome. Thank you, Nika, for that introduction. And hello, everybody. I'm really excited to be with you all this evening, although this afternoon for some of you. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, which is where PadSplit is headquartered. I am the National Fund and Partnership Manager for PadSplit. PadSplit is the country's largest co-living marketplace designed specifically for the workforce. So today I'm going to tell you about a very interesting and disruptive investment opportunity through our co-living shared housing model. So I'm going to just share my screen here and show you all a little bit about what we offer. And just let me know once that's come through. Okay, awesome.
You can see.
Perfect. So PadSplit, we were originally founded in 2018. We have over 4,500 members on our platform, and members, we actually call them tenants, or tenants, we call them members rather, but they go through an application process. So PadSplit handles all of the screening, the background checks, income verification, and employment verification for our members. We're in 10 cities nationally, so headquartered again here in Atlanta, Georgia. We're also in Florida. We're in Tampa, Jacksonville, Orlando, St. Pete. In Texas, we're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, San Antonio, Houston, and we recently launched in Las Vegas. We're also in New Orleans, Richmond, Virginia, and Indianapolis, and we are expanding rapidly. So we are planning to launch in several markets before the end of the year. We have a short list of around 5, and we're growing rapidly. So we have over 150 employees and over 4,500 units on our platform. We actually ended last year with around 3,500 units and expect it to hit 10,000 before the end of the year. So again, we are a digital marketplace that really connects investors to renters the same way Airbnb connects real estate investors to renters who are looking for vacation properties. PadSplit, we are actually connecting with those individuals that wouldn't qualify for traditional housing. So think of those individuals that don't qualify for a $1,400 a month rent, which is the national average right now. So those individuals, where are they staying? They are staying in shelters, they're couch surfing, and PadSplit really provides a respectable place for those individuals to live. And we are venture backed, so we raised $20.5 million in our Series B the end of last year, and again, growing rapidly. So we're solving for 2 problems. So affordable housing is our why. Again, there's just a huge population of individuals that do not qualify for the traditional rentals. And that's what we're able to provide with PadSplit, affordable housing units that include access to Wi-Fi, they're fully furnished, includes the cost of utilities in your public transportation. So that's what we're solving for members of the community. And on the other side, with our investors, we're really helping them achieve the return on investment. As we all know, traditional rents in the traditional model, you're just not receiving the same kind of yields that you used to because it's so expensive with those acquisition costs. So what we're able to do with our co-living model is provide investors the opportunity to increase those returns, usually doubling, sometimes even tripling those returns. And that's what we're able to do. Not only increase those returns, but again, we're handling all of the screening, and then we're handling the resident management. So any member-to-member disputes, that's something that we handle. You wouldn't have to be responsible for that. What our investors investors are responsible for is actual maintenance of the property. So mowing the lawn, fixing any repairs, things of that nature, the actual maintenance. Other than that, PadSplit takes on that responsibility. And this is just an example of what our model looks like. So not only are we renting out rooms for our investors, but we're also capturing underutilized space in an existing floor plan. So we'll take a 3-bedroom, 2-bath and convert that to a 7-bedroom, 2-bath by taking a large living room, a formal dining room, or even a large master suite and converting that into additional rooms. And by doing so, again, we can double that income for our investors. The other thing that we provide for our members, we again do all the screening. We also allow our members to pay by the week. So that allows our members to have flexibility and also results in over a 90% collection rate. We also provide free access to telemedicine services, employment services, credit score boosts, and 24/7 member support. And this is just an example of what the vacancy and term costs would look like, comparing a traditional rental on a 3-year term compared to a PadSplit rental. So even if you do have a vacancy in a PadSplit room, you're still generating income on those other rooms that are in the property. So overall, you're having less of a turn cost, less of a vacancy cost. In fact, the average rental rate or rental term rather for our members is 10 months. And we're seeing that that's starting to increase. So we're not in the short-term rental space, which is great because there are a lot of investors that are dealing with the Airbnb regulations and policies. Our minimum stay is actually 31 days. And again, on average, around 10 months. As far as the turn costs, we do allow our investors to set a move-in fee. Usually on average, that ranges between $75 to $150. And that covers when the member is actually vacating that room. Because it's fully furnished, usually it just requires a quick Swiffer, a light cleaning, and then we can have that room back online ready to rent within 24 to 48 hours. And then who's responsible for what? So again, PadSplit, we do all of the marketing. So we do all the lead generation. We find those members for you. We do the screening, the application process. We collect those rent payments from our members and send those collections to our investors. And then, of course, doing all of the tenant management. So again, the investor would be responsible for only the property management and maintenance. And just a little bit about what that process looks like. So if you are interested in becoming a PadSplit investor or PadSplit host, you would just easily schedule a consultative conversation with one of our account executives to review your portfolio. And not every property would be the perfect fit, but what we do is a competitive analysis to look at that particular property, what kind of rents you would receive under a traditional rental, and then compare it to a PadSplit rental. We also have a earnings calculator on our website for our investors to go in and run that analysis on their own. Once you have that conversation, we would help you acquire the property. We do have a vendor network in each of our existing markets, which include real estate agents, property managers, general contractors, photographers. We really try to provide all the resources that our investors need to either acquire the property, or if it's an existing property, to renovate that property and have it ready for our PadSplit members to occupy. Once that renovation is completed, we would go through the process of prepping and staging with our investors. And that's as easy as a virtual walkthrough with an implementation specialist that makes sure that the property meets all of our guidelines. And then once that's completed, you would list your property on PadSplit and start having members occupying those rooms and doubling your income on that property. So it's a really interesting model. It's not, you think about it, it's not super common here in the US, but all across the world, people are already doing this. We're seeing, especially in LA, New York, and places where rents are extremely expensive, the co-living model is very standard. And unfortunately, because rent just keeps increasing and increasing at such a rapid rate, there's just more and more of a need for people to have affordable housing, and having this as an option is really beneficial. And these are just some of the sites that we market our properties on. So again, we handle all of that. Yeah, I recommend each and every one of you to go on PadSplit.com. In fact, I can show you a little bit here. I know we're running a little short on time, but if you go to PadSplit.com, you can go to the For Hosts section. And here you can register to become a host. You don't have to have your property yet to unlock some of those features, but I recommend doing so. There's also just some information on what that conversion looks like. Here is the earnings calculator that I mentioned earlier, where you can go and kind of do that analysis comparing a PadSplit rental to a traditional rental on your property. And then there's just a ton of information here. And just keep in mind, we are a technology company. So that's really what allows us to manage co-living and the tenants that occupy our investors' properties the way that we do. The other thing that I'll point out here at the very bottom of the website is our help center. And this is a great resource for you all if you're just interested in accessing information on how to become a PadSplit host, everything from choosing a property, renovating a property, what the management looks like. There's just a ton of info here. So I highly recommend doing that as well. And then we also have a find a room section. So if you're interested in seeing what some of those room listings look like, you can access any of the listings here. So again, very similar to Airbnb, where you can go on, click on a listing, you can view all of the images here, and then you'll see information on that particular property. You'll see if there are any parking spaces available. For this one, there are not. And then you can actually book your room here. So this is exactly the process that our members go through to apply for a PadSplit room and move in. So a ton of information here, but I know we're running short on time. I'll go ahead and wrap it up and let you guys ask any questions you may have.
Thank you. And let me see. Do you want to stop sharing so they can ask you questions?
Sure.
And then if we can always go back if we want to show something if someone has a question.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions, Fernando?
This is amazing. I love this. Regarding the renovations, so as you were talking about the, showing the graphics of, say, a 3-bedroom turning into a 7-bedroom home, I start thinking about the square footage. So, like larger houses with single-family homes with square footage. Is part of the renovation something that you guys handle, or is something that the host or the owner would handle?
So that is something that the owner would handle, although we do have general contractors in our network that have been trained on PadSplit processes, and they understand the renovation and they can assist our investors through that.
Got it.
Great question.
That's the only question I have so far. I have really liked the concept. I think it's the future of things.
Yeah, I have a question, because that one same image that you showed, what has been the feedback about not having a living room with so many people?
Yeah, so I actually get that question quite often, and a rule of thumb for PadSplit is we just want to eliminate any space where someone can sleep that's not a bedroom. And what we found is by eliminating that space, we're reducing the opportunity for conflict. So nobody's going to walk in and find someone sleeping on the couch. And it's, you think about it, it's a common area that's made to congregate. And what we're offering and providing for our members is just someplace to sleep. They're not looking for the social component. We're different from other co-living companies out there because we are focused on affordable housing and the workforce. So our targeted demographic is, again, those individuals that have full-time jobs, but they're low-income workers. And what we found is that they prioritize those living quarters over the social ones.
I've heard before that in Paris, that's because the houses are so small. That's why it has such great nightlife. It's because everybody's spending all their time outside. Their places are too depressing. And as far from a utility perspective, like I lived in Taiwan for 15 years. So, this
Wow.
whole thing here, it makes a lot of sense to me as far as like, like if you look at hostels, it's
Mhm.
fairly similar to what's going on here, and yeah, so people will just want to go there to sleep and spend the rest of their day doing something more important. So I think there's a lot more life to this idea than a lot of our habits would imply.
Yeah, I absolutely agree to that. And I mean, you're right. There's so many other places across the world where, you think about urban planning and density. It happens when in those places where they have, multifamily properties or even those co-living properties. So, I think that, it is the way of the future, and it's coming quickly. It's coming quickly.
Yeah, even the pod living, did you sleep in a drawer, Dan, in Taiwan?
No, I never did. I had my own apartment the entire time,
That's
and there was a number of them. It was interesting. In Taiwan, everybody wants everything to be super duper close. So if it's like a full block away, people are like, "Oh, it's so far." It's just it really is something. So I ended up staying at a lot of different apartments, but yeah, there was only one where I even had housemates the entire
oh
time.
wow.
I was there for about like 8 months. The rest of the time, I was able to afford my own apartment, so it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like what you see in Hong Kong. Those are real filing cabinets where there's just no space at
Yeah.
all. It's bonkers.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's why I always think of that whenever, like
Right.
Japan, I think is like somewhere else where it's really expensive that they showed, literally like pull your drawer out and kind of sleep in your little pod.
Right. Right.
Yeah, in LA, there is another company it's called Pod Living or Pod Share, which is, you know, pretty interesting in that sense that not only, I mean, at least with PadSplit, there's no roommate in your room,
Right.
Exactly.
to where the pod sharing is almost like, bunk beds, like you're going to camp, and then you just screen in your own bed almost. There's literally pods that they create. It's amazing.
Uh, Shani,
It's
did you mention anything about like lockers or self storage or anything with these buildings?
No, all the storage is inside of the room, so they do come with either, a closet or a wardrobe, and those closets can be walk-in, reach-in, or a wardrobe. Aside from that, there's no storage anywhere else in the home.
Is
And
there a
what about a
lock on the
safe?
door?
There is, yes.
Okay.
Yep, all of the doors have their own individual locks and personal access.
Yeah, I don't know if the tenants would have stuff that they'd want to keep in a safe, but that was the only other alternative I was thinking, because that's what you do in a hotel room, right? Even though
Correct.
it's better to have whatever is on you. So, but yeah, so safes are not something that you're including on other
Not
over
something that
over
we
here.
include. In fact, when we're working with our investors as far as the requirements for the bedrooms, the minimum it has to be 80 square feet. There has to be a bed frame, a mattress cover, a nightstand, a lamp, and then some form of art on the wall. So those are the only things that we require inside of the rooms.
Hi, this is Gary Burns. I just joined a little while ago. I apologize. Well, that's kind of interesting. I'm looking at Dan's screen, so I see what my screen looks like when I don't have a picture up. That's interesting. Um, I've worked with the little houses of North Hollywood and others. I'd like to talk with you further. I've raised about $100,000 for them, and there are some interesting things I do. And one of the really interesting things about it is they do say that it's wonderful to have a lock on their door so that they don't lose their stuff, and they have a very nice, safe place to work. Do you know of them, Hope of the Valley? I don't know where you're located.
I'm actually in Atlanta, Georgia, and They came on my radar a few months ago, but I'm not super familiar with that organization. I'd love to pick your brain about it and learn more.
Okay, I see your email. We'll stay in touch.
PadSplit is not here in California. I don't think they ever will come to California.
Well, don't count us out yet. You know, we've been talking with a couple of investors out there, and typically what we need in order to launch in a new market is at a starting point, 50 rooms listed on our platform and a pathway to 100 rooms within 4 to 6 months. So that usually happens with an anchor investor. So if we have an anchor investor that either has the inventory, the capital to deploy, or the network that can bring online those 50 units, then we certainly will consider that for a new market.
Well, I don't know if you know what's going on in Los Angeles. I'm trying to think of the name of the company. I'll take a look back on my pictures on my phone. They're up in Oregon or Washington. And the whole concept here is that as long as it's less than 65 square feet, they don't need a permit. And they basically use land that LA City has designated for metro, or small slices of land that they really can't build anything else on. And they pave it, put up power lines, and put these pods on. And do you know the name of the company that sells those pods up in the Northwest, or should I get it for you?
Yeah, get it for us. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll go take a look.
Yeah, because theirs is just helping. It usually works best, because I was going to say that, to have at least a 4-bedroom, or else the metrics for an investor, a 2-bedroom house, you know, it doesn't really, it's not that efficient or works. Correct, Shani?
Yeah, I mean, what we look at in our buy box at a starting point, a minimum of 1,100 square feet, and we like to start with a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So the bed to bathroom ratio, there's 4 bedrooms at a max to 1 bathroom. So we're able to, you know, get up to 7 rooms with that floor plan. But at a minimum, we have to have 5 bedrooms in each property to list on our platform. On average, across the board, there's 7 bedrooms per household.
Something that came to mind when you're talking about measurements was Section 8. Have you ever worked with Section 8?
So we have a few programs on the member side where we've taken, you know, payments through certain organizations, but we have not directly worked with Section 8.
Got it. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
How about filtering, or is there, what do tenants prospect tenants go through to get approved?
So they basically apply through the website, and in the application process, we do a background check, employment verification, and income verification. And that those guidelines are actually on the website as well if you want to dig a little bit further on that. But they also have to agree to our member guidelines, which include, you know, cleanliness, include behavior, and they have to abide by that in order to stay in a PadSplit room, and that allows them to stay in any room on our platform.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no eviction process, right? You don't really have leases. How does the leasing and that structure work? Yeah, so the lease is actually structured through the investor and PadSplit. So it would be, you know, Nika LLC and PadSplit, and the members are actually added to the LLC for that property, and that's why they're members. So that's how we kind of don't have to go through a lot of hoops when it comes to tenant-landlord relationship, because our members are actually applying for a membership to stay in that property. So when someone leaves, you have to change your LLC?
No, so they're removed from the LLC, and the new person that moves into that room is added to the LLC as a member.
Oh, you keep the LLC on your end.
Correct. And that lease agreement is for 12 months. Between
With the LLC.
Correct.
Between PadSplit. Okay, yeah, that's much more sense. Yeah.
Be-
And then,
between the landlord and PadSplit is 12 months,
Correct.
and between PadSplit and tenant.
So the minimum stay is actually 31 days.
Okay. And
But again, on average, they stay around 10 months.
so tenants are added to whose LLCs?
So the LLC is created. We created the LLC. So it'd be PadSplit and you as the investor. And then the member, once they are approved through the application process and move into the room, then they're added to that LLC for that property. So each property has an LLC that's on our platform.
Yeah.
but you take care of removing the people on and off of the LLC.
We do.
Okay. That's wild. I think, you know, I think that reminds me that I think that pod share was similar to that there was something with the membership, and because you're part of it, that there wasn't leasing. I think that it was similar to that with the pod share. Very interesting. Well, at least you get around any of the, you're over the 30 days, so you wouldn't be part of the, you wouldn't be worried about those for short term. But I think the pod share, which was in LA, I think they get around that if someone wanted to come for a night or the 2 nights, that's how they do it, because it's not subject to the short-term rental guidelines because of that reason.
Interesting. And yes, to go back to your question is regards to eviction. So we do not do those evictions ourselves, but we do work with a third party that will assist with that process. So, you know, what usually happens, and it's not common that it happens. In fact, we only had 1 eviction before the eviction moratorium, and that wasn't even for finances. But, you know, if someone goes beyond $300 on their rent, then someone from our support department will actually reach out to them and have a conversation, giving them 48 hours to get their balance below $300. If they do not pay that balance, then we reach out to the investor or the property manager and let them know what's going on, at which point they will send somebody out to the property and have an easy way, hard way conversation. The easy way is, you know, you can pay your balance. If not, then you need to leave the property. You need to vacate the property, and you can do that, you know, within 24 hours. We'll give you a night to get your things and go. And in 6 months, you can come back. And a lot of times, you know, people are like, okay, well, you guys are serious. I'll go ahead and vacate the property. I don't want this to escalate. I don't want an eviction on my record. And they leave. If they decide not to, then we do have to go through the eviction process. But as you know, usually how we look at things is we really want to work with our members as much as they want to work with us. We even have partnerships with Susu. I don't know if you all are familiar with them, but they basically provide micro loans to our members. They also take those membership payments on a weekly basis and report them to the credit bureau. And because of that, you know, a lot of our members are, you know, low income workers that don't even have credit. So by the time that they leave from a PadSplit, they have an extra 50 points or have at least established credit by making those weekly payments. So we really try to help our members. That's our mission, is to help solve the affordable housing shortage. And we don't want to displace anybody, because we know a lot of these members don't have any other option.
Yeah, totally. Would it help to, I'd love to talk with you maybe offline about the possibility of providing some type of emotional, psychological, mental support to members that need.
Yeah, I'd love to. I dropped my contact information in the chat, so or let me do that now, actually. So if you have any questions or you want to schedule time to discuss this further, I'd be more than happy to.
Yeah, I just dropped my link here too. So I'll get your link, and then if you have a Calendly, I'll hop on there. If you don't,
On there?
you can schedule on my Calendly too, whichever is easier for you.
Perfect. Yes, I will certainly schedule some time with you.
Yeah, because it could definitely help the people that are at that level where they're living day by day, week by week, to release stress and build their lives up. So 10 and a half months later, they can get a permanent place.
I love it. And that's the goal. And that's usually what happens. I mean, after 10 months, they've saved, on average compared to traditional rental, $400 a month. And that allows them to purchase a vehicle or save for a down payment on their own home or even their own apartment. So we're really providing, financial resources and I mean, a ton of resources for our members to really reach their goals.
Wonderful.
Nice. Yeah. I always like these interesting different ways to help people.
And let me suggest I put the name, it's Pallet Industries.
Oh, I see.
Started by a woman and her husband, and it's a pretty good company. These were originally meant for up in the Arctic or wherever you needed an emergency situation where an earthquake or a hurricane destroyed the housing, but they're being used very, very effectively. And let me tell you how I help them, and I think other people here know my business, which is the recovery of tax money from research and development funds that most businesses don't know about, from a tax act that was built in 1981 and still effective today. But the point is that most of the people that you're dealing with have benefactors or donators to their charities. And instead of asking for money from the donator continually, you give them to me, or you give me to them, and then I find them $100,000 of tax-free money, or more or less, and they give 10% or maybe all of it back to the charity, and that helps build the homes for the homeless. So it's a really interesting circular business that I've built, and a great built-in number of not only revenue share but referrals. So we'll talk.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gary's an interesting guy.
I love it. Yeah, I just love the mission, and I mean, helping people. That's why I'm with this organization, being able to actually help people achieve something good. So I certainly align with what you're doing. I appreciate you sharing that and looking forward to connecting soon.
Well, I always say I'm not a salesman. I give people money. I don't sell them anything. So the government does, but it's kind of an interesting line. And Nika, I love your new apartment. It looks great behind you.
Thank you. I moved in last week. Gary also has amazing tomato chips. They're really good.
Tomato chips.
Yes, I have a very interesting other business.
Tomato, yes. That's why I paused to make sure that I enunciated.
Instead of potato, tomato. You say tomato, we say tomato. Did you see the video I just sent you that we did for Ralph's? I sent it on WhatsApp, I think. I'll take a look again, make sure I send it to you.
Oh, I don't. If it was on WhatsApp, I don't check that all the time.
Oh, no, we've got a chef that is the chef to Kevin Hart. And Kevin Hart is now involved with the project, as well as Hart House, which is a new restaurant in Hollywood. And
Wow.
his partners are Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. So we're getting close to IBM and Kroger sponsoring for multiple millions to put little bags of my tomato chips on every school lunch tray in America. That's my goal, to make sure that young children eat healthy, maybe cure some of the obesity crisis, and learn for their lives how to eat better. And they don't eat potato chips, they eat tomato chips.
I love that.
And they do satisfy your craving, I have to say. Because I have a real potato chip addiction.
You've been endorsed.
Well, actually, I want to ask, does anyone else have any questions so I can actually turn off the recording in the week? Because everybody, knows about tomato chips, the PadSplit, when they listen to the PadSplit one. Does anyone else have a question for Shani? We can keep chatting. I just want to just know that so I can complete the recording.
No questions here.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Shani. We love the program and the concept, and thank you for having a great program to help the affordable housing crisis that we have in this United States of ours. So.
Yes, absolutely. And I will send a copy of this presentation. Well, obviously it's being recorded, but the actual slides for you all to review. And of course, you have all of my contact information, and happy to discuss anytime.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you learned something and reach out to us to learn more.